Hey guys, it's Kepi. A lot of people I know have gotten frustrated with CS2's new Premier mode, and how difficult it can feel to rank up in it. I want to start a series to explore the different elements of skill in Counter-Strike, and talk about my own experience with learning the game. For this, I'm going to split the series into 3 separate episodes: mechanical skill, game knowledge, and teamwork. In episode 1, we'll be learning how to improve your aim. Now the first thing that I want you to do is to check your hand position while you're holding your mouse. If you're resting your wrist on the desk while you aim, you need to pick it up off the table. If you haven't already been doing this, it's going to feel really awkward, but I promise you that it's 100% necessary if you want to improve your aim. The motion of moving your mouse needs to be done by your elbow or your shoulder, not your wrist. Take some time to learn this new position, and I promise you that you'll see a massive improvement. You may also want to try a lower sensitivity if you've been playing on a higher one. With these 2 factors, you'll be able to more precisely aim for heads in Counter-Strike. Now that you've covered your bases, there are 4 mechanics you need to practice to improve your aim in CS. The first of these is your crosshair placement. In Counter-Strike, most of the time a headshot will result in a one-shot kill. Therefore, the majority of gunfights are a race to see which player can land a headshot first. You need to do everything you can to lower the time it takes to hit the head, because if you're too slow, the enemy's gonna do it first. The easiest way to do this is to pay attention to the position of your crosshair. In most FPS games, you're going to be looking at the ground. It's just a natural habit that almost everyone has. In CS, you need to pick that crosshair up out of the dirt and keep it aimed at head level at all times. If an enemy appears on your screen and you're looking at the ground, you'll have to flick upwards to reach their head. That's time that you have to wait before you can shoot, and it's also a flick that you have to hit accurately. Any player with their crosshair already placed at head level is going to beat you almost every time. You should also keep your crosshair locked onto positions the enemy might be at while you move. As you round corners, keep that crosshair traced onto the corner so that if you spot an opponent, that crosshair is already placed on their head. Switch corners as you clear new angles, and remember that you have the advantage in any fight where you're already aiming at the enemy player when they appear. The second mechanic you need to start practicing is counter-strafing. In CS, most guns are extremely inaccurate while moving. If you're walking and you spot an enemy, you'll need to come to a stop before you can start shooting. New players usually have 2 ways of doing this. They'll either crouch immediately, or even worse, they'll let go of all the movement keys and then wait for their character to stop. These are bad habits that are going to get you killed. What you need to do is practice the mechanic of counter-strafing. Here's what that looks like. When moving left or right, you can immediately stop your character's movement by tapping the movement key for the opposite direction. If you're peeking an angle to the right, you'll be holding the D key, so to counter-strafe, let go and tap the A key to immediately stop your character. At that moment, your accuracy jumps all the way up to 100%, and you're free to start shooting without waiting for your character to slow down on their own, and without hindering your own movement by crouching. The opposite applies to strafing to the left. Mechanic number 3 is your spray patterns. Weapon recoil is one of the most infamous mechanics of Counter-Strike. To put it simply, every weapon in the game simulates recoil using its own unique spray pattern. This is why when you hold down the trigger, the bullets don't go where your crosshair is pointing. These spray patterns are a predictable shape that each bullet will follow, with a bit of randomness sprinkled in. To compensate for recoil, your cursor should move to mirror the shape of this pattern. Try practicing on a blank wall. Hold the trigger and empty the clip, while keeping the spread of the bullets as tight as possible. It's essential that you learn this for the AK and at least one of the M4s, but mastering more weapon spray patterns, like the AUG or the Krieg, will only make you a better player. Check the description for some useful console commands so you can set up your own private practice match for this. And finally, the last mechanic you need to understand is what Peeker's advantage is. A common debate in the community with the release of CS2 is the argument of Peeker's advantage. This is the theory that a player peeking an angle has an advantage in a gunfight over a player holding that angle. Now there's a lot that goes into this, and if you want to know more about it, I'll put a link in the description that I highly recommend that you look at, but I don't want to explain the entire concept in this video. All you need to know is that through a number of factors, namely attention span and networking, players peeking an angle with correct crosshair placement have an advantage over a player defending that angle. A good way to counter this advantage is by holding off angles. An off angle is just a position that the attacking team is unlikely to check first when entering an angle. To pick good off angles, think about where you would look when first clearing a position. Try to hold an angle that is farther from that particular spot and hold there. That way, the attacker won't have their crosshair placed on you as they enter your line of sight. Now that you understand those crucial mechanics, I want to talk about a great way to start improving your aim. Aimlabs is a free game on Steam that I use to practice aiming and to warm up before playing. Just download the app and then on the home screen, press play, training, and then scroll down on the left to see skills. The two that you should focus on are flicking and tracking. You can browse these routines and try whatever you like, but the ones that I recommend the most are Gridshot, Microshot, Strafe Track, and Horde Shot. I usually find that Horde Shot is actually especially helpful for CS2. The number one thing you should keep in mind while playing Aimlabs is what I call the 95% rule. Basically, the scores at the end of your routines should be largely ignored, and instead, the result you need to be paying most attention to is your accuracy. For most routines, namely Gridshot and Microshot, you should always aim for an accuracy of 95% or higher. If you don't achieve that level of accuracy, disregard your score and try again. Only when you hit 95% of your shots should you start paying attention to your score. This is especially useful when using Aimlabs to warm up for Counter-Strike. Usually, I play through these 4 routines a couple times until I can get a good score on Gridshot with at least 95% accuracy, and also a good score on Horde Shot with at least 85% accuracy. I also highly recommend this video by Elevated, which I'll link in the description. He describes a useful routine for playing Gridshot that I've been using for a couple years now. The idea is to follow a metronome and guide your shots to its beat. Try to get at least 95% accuracy, and then increase the speed of the metronome. By continuously doing this, you can steadily train your flicks to become faster and faster. And that's about it for episode 1. If you're watching this in the future when workshop maps and community servers are functional, I highly recommend finding maps for spray patterns and flicks on the workshop, and warming up on a headshot only deathmatch server is my preferred method before I start playing comp. I also want to say thank you so much for all of the recent support. That Mirage tutorial really blew up more than I expected, and I want to say hi to all the new subs too. Part 2 covering game knowledge is on its way, and so is the tutorial for the next map we'll be learning, most likely Anubis, which is actually my favorite map in rotation right now. But until then, I'm Kepi, and good luck with your premiere matches. Okay, love you, bye.